All right, so now for the last portion of our guided practice, we have to find the main idea, the implied main idea of each paragraph without trying to identify those clues or inference questions that they gave us in the first part. So let's get started. Number 6, Joy sat on the bench at the baseball field and waited. She didn't like waiting alone. All the other kids had been picked up by their parents. Where was her mother? Suddenly, her mother came running to her. Oh, Joy, I'm so sorry. Next time, I will make myself a note. The main idea in this paragraph is A, Joy's mother forgot to pick her up. B, Joy hated sitting alone. C, Joy plays baseball. Or D, Joy's mother writes notes. So remember, when we're thinking of the main idea, we have to pick a main idea or come up with a main idea that encompasses everything that was in the paragraph. So let's look at all of our details. It says that she sat on the bench and waited. She didn't like waiting alone. The other kids were picked up by their parents. She wanted to know where her mother was. Her mother came running, said she was sorry, said she'd give herself a reminder note. She didn't really say reminder note, but she said she'd make herself a note. And I guess the implied thing there is it was a reminder note. So based off of all these details, which one encompasses all of those things put together? And the best answer is A. Joy's mother forgot to pick her up. Number 7. Lucy would never get her room clean. It looked like a tornado had hit it. She couldn't believe how much damage her friends had done. They pulled everything out and didn't put anything back. Glue was spilled all over her rug, and fingernail polish was spilled on her new bedspread. They had even wiped their chocolate-covered fingers on her curtains. Wow, what a mess. The main idea in this paragraph is, so we know that Lucy's room was a mess, so that her friends had done the damage, and then it gave a list of all the damages that her friends had made to her room. So we know that they're talking about her room being a mess and her friends doing it. So which one is the best answer? A, there is glue on the rug. B, Lucy's friends are messy. C, a tornado hit the house. Or D, Lucy's friends ate chocolate. Has to incorporate all of those details into one statement. What is the most important thing that they wanted you to understand from this passage? And the best answer is B, Lucy's friends are messy. 8. Almost done. The United States calls its basic unit of currency the dollar. Australia and New Zealand also measure their currency by dollars. The money in Great Britain is called the pound. Korea uses the won. In Russia, you spend rubles. I'm not sure if that's pronounced properly. Mexico and the Philippines use a peso, and the country of Zaire calls its money unit a zaire. The main idea in this paragraph is, I'm going to pause for a second. When I sometimes try to think of, they're giving me options for the main idea, but sometimes what I do on my own is go through and come up with my own main idea or look at my supporting details and say, what were they trying to tell me before I look at my options? Because if you're anything like me, sometimes I overthink everything and I look at every option. I'm like, they all sound right. What do I do? So let's talk about what they said. They mentioned the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, Korea, Russia, Mexico, Philippines, and Zaire. So about 10. Did they mention all of the countries? No, but they mentioned several. Then what are they telling me about these countries? They talk about their unit of currency, which is money. And it looks like, a few countries use the dollar, 3, but otherwise all of the different names of their money is different. So we need to figure out which one covers that there are several countries and they have different types of currency or money that have different names. Let's look at our options. A, different countries have different names for currency. B, all countries have money. C, United States dollar is the best. D, most countries use the dollar. So if we said that our topic of this was money in different countries, which one of those actually says that? Because you have to have your topic inside of your main idea. And the best answer is A. So if you said that, great job. Number 9, one myth about exercise is that if a woman lifts weights, she will develop muscles as large as a man's. Without extra male hormones, however, a woman cannot increase her muscle bulk as much as a man's. Another misconception about exercise is that it increases the appetite. Actually, regular exercise stabilizes the blood sugar level, which prevents hunger pains. Some people also think that a few minutes of exercise a day or one session is enough, that at least 3 solid workouts a week are needed for muscle and cardiovascular health. The main idea of this paragraph is, let's ask ourselves first, what is the topic of this passage? What are they talking about? So we know that they're for sure talking about exercise, but what are they saying about exercise? In the very first sentence, they say myth. Later on, they say misconception. It says some people think this, but, which shows the opposite. So they're saying that a lot of people believe things that are wrong about exercise. So if we look at all of our options, one of these does not say exercise at all. Remember, our topic has to be in the main idea, otherwise it's not the main idea. So which one can we eliminate? We can eliminate C. So C doesn't have the word exercise in it, which makes it easier because now at least we only have 3 options instead of 4. So we have A, regular exercise stabilizes your blood sugar level. B, exercise is the best thing you can do for yourself. Or D, there are many myths about exercise. Well, we said they use the word myth, misconception, and people think this, but here's the opposite of that. So is this whole paragraph, remember your main idea is to cover everything, is this whole paragraph about exercise stabilizing your blood sugar level? No, that was just one detail, one supporting detail. It's very specific, so it has to be a supporting detail. B, exercise is the best thing you can do for yourself. Now, we do know that exercise is great and all, and it does say you should do it at least 3 times a week in here, but it does not make the claim that it is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And it doesn't actually say that or imply that. What it actually implies is there are a lot of things that aren't true that people believe about exercise. So actually the best answer then would be D, because myth is something that you cannot believe it's not true. And then our last one, 10. We're often told, he who hesitates is lost, but we're also warned to look before you leap. Most of us have heard the saying, out of sight, out of mind. But then we hear, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Everyone talks about love at first sight. But then someone reminds us, marry in haste, repent at leisure. It's all very confusing. What is the main idea? So again, I'm going to talk to myself in my mind about what do I think is this about? What's the topic? And I always see this, but that. We're often told this, but then this happens. We think this, but then we hear this. Everyone talks about this, but then someone else says this. So it seems like there are a lot of opposites happening here. This, but this, 3 separate times. So you know that if things are opposite, that makes it contradictory. And then it also says we're often told, we hear, people talk, someone reminds us. So talk about things that people say and how they're opposite. So before I looked at my options, I wanted to get that in my mind so I could make sure that it included that in the main idea. It has to incorporate everything from the paragraph. A, people should say what they mean. B, figurative language is not for the faint of heart. C, there are many sayings in our culture that contradict one another. And D, it's okay to marry quickly if you experience love at first sight. So we already said that this talks about people talking or saying something, and also says there are opposites. So only one of these actually incorporates the entire topic in there. So though we see look before you leap and out of sight, out of mind, love at first sight, these are common sayings. You know, they would be types of figurative language. However, it doesn't actually mention figurative language or let you know that's what's happening here. So that cannot be your option. The last one says it's okay to marry quickly if you experience love at first sight. That was a supporting detail. It was an example that was given in the reading passage that they tried to make sound like a main idea. So that one cannot be correct. And then we are left with A and C. So which one encompasses everything? People should say what they mean, or there are many sayings in our culture that contradict one another. Which one is best? The best answer is C. All right, so now that you've done your ed puzzle and you've done your guided practice with me, the last thing you have is assignment 2. But if you have any questions, I am here and I'm happy to help, so please ask.